So the following videos have been made to go alongside the tutorial guides, and they're not meant for a replacement for your actual tutorials. There are some inconsistencies with the volume, as I recorded at different times on different days. So yeah, hopefully this guide is helpful for you. Refer back to it at any time. So we're going to do a quick run through of getting started with the quantitative software that we will be using for Mark 203 Assignment 2. So before we get into this, you will want to have downloaded these two files from Nuku. And then you're going to want to click this software. You'll get all three. Make sure you click on this one. It should load up like this. And once that's done, click close there. Not now. And you'll want to click this little folder icon up here. And then you're going to want to pick the top one. You don't want to click the recoded one. Click open. And then the data set will open up like this. So in the software, you get to view this data in two different ways. You've got the data view, which is purely numbers. And then you have the variable view, which makes a lot more sense. And it's got writing. And what you can see from here is that there were 14 questions. And for question 10, there would have been 10A, 10B, 10C, and 10D. And you can actually see what the question was if you drag this out. So the two views that you will have are variable view and data view. So we're going to be using question 4 as an example from the questionnaire. As you can see, this question is, overall, how satisfied are you with your Dell computer system? And we can see here that very satisfied is given a number of 1, somewhat satisfied 2, somewhat dissatisfied 3, or very dissatisfied 4. The positive answers should be given a higher number, while negative answers should be given lower values. As you can see from here, the positive ones are given the low one, and the negative ones are given higher values. So in SPSS, we need to swap these around. So I will show you how to recode in SPSS. So we're back in SPSS, and we're going to do question 4, recoding. So before we get started, this is question 4. As you can see, it's 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, and so on. So once we've recoded these, it should look like 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, and so on. So what we're going to do is go up to transform, recode into same variables. And then we want to scroll down till we find the question, which was, overall, how satisfied are you with your Dell computer system? Click that, click the blue arrow, old and new values. So the old value is 1, and that's now going to become 4, and 4 will become 1, and so on. So 1 becomes 4, click add, 2 becomes 3, add again, 3 becomes 2, add, and 4 becomes 1, and add that one. And before I click continue, to make sure it's been done properly, look at the column that you're changing, double check 1, 2, 1, 1, click continue, click OK, and now the results have changed, and that is how you recode in SPSS. So now we're going to talk about frequencies. One way of analysing data is to obtain frequencies, so how many times a 1 appears, how many times a 2 appears, and so on. So the way that we do this is you want to go to the top, click Analyse, Descriptive Statistics, and then Frequencies. And for this one, I'm going to choose question 12, which is, which of the following best describes your age? And then click the blue arrow. I did this one as a test before, so don't worry about that. Click OK. And then it will open up this. So how we read this is there were 372 responses. Out of all responses, none of them were missing. So everyone put their age in. And from here, we can see that there are 15 people who are 18 to 19 that did the survey. And then there is also 36 people between the ages of 20 and 24 that did the survey, and so on, all the way through. And that is how you use a frequency table. Recoding again, but this time we're going to transform a continuous variable into a categorical one. For this example, we are going to use question 1. Approximately how many total hours per week do you spend online? This will be the total from all the locations you might use. As you can see here, there's 6 different categories. Less than 1 hour, 1 to 5 hours, 6 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 40, or 41 hours or more. So to turn this into a categorical one, we're going to focus on 2 groups of people. Customers who spend less than 40 hours a week online, and customers who spend more than 40 hours a week online. Less than 40 hours a week we'll call group 0. More than 40 hours we'll call group 1. And one way we could do this is by creating another frequency table. So this is question 1 already here. Click OK. So here's the group. There'd be 19 in group 1, and then 372 minus 19 in group 0. However, there is another way to do it, and that is recoding. And we're going to recode the variable from a 5-point scale to a 2-point one. To do this, we're going to go to transform. This time we're going to do recode into different variables. Click that. Question 1, click the blue box, and then click this, and then on the name, you want to call it Q1 Cat 2. Cat just stands for category, and then we're going to click change, and then we're going to click old and new values. And then in the first box under old values, we're going to put 1, and in the new box we'll do 0. Click add. So similar to the last one that we did, except 2 will also become 0. Now I'll just double check. So we're going to go all the way up to 5, and 5 will now become 0. So 3 becomes 0, 4 becomes 0, 5 becomes 0, and this is where group 1 comes in. So we're going to do 6 becomes 1. Click add, click continue, and just take a quick note here. These ones should not change. You should get another column. And then click OK. If we scroll all the way to the end, there's our new category. So we can look at the frequency table now, and it should say 19 for group 1, and then 372 minus 19 for group 0. So back in descriptive statistics, frequencies. We'll put that one back to the left, scroll down, click the new category, put it to the right, and click OK. So as you can see here, 372 minus 19 is 353. So we've got 353 customers who spend less than 40 hours online each week, and 19 customers that spend more than 40 hours online each week. Now we are going to identify multi-item constructs. Question 10 is one of those questions that contain many items, and it is on a scale of 1 to 7. 1 being disagree completely, and 7 means agree completely. So the higher the number, the higher they agree with the statement. So we'll start off with market maven items. As you can see, there are four places here to rate. So this will be 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, and 10.4. So going back to SPSS, row 1, that's respondent 1. We're going to scroll across until we get to 10.1. And their scores for the first 4 are 5, 6, 6, and 6. So they're higher up to agreeing, which means they probably see themselves as a bit of a market maven. Whereas if we look at respondent 2 or respondent 3, go back to question 10, we can see that their score's quite low. We've got 1, 1, 3, and 1, 2, 2, 3, and 2. So these people don't see themselves as market mavens. These patterns suggest that the answers to these 4 questions move in the same direction. So, if this is low, if 10.1 is going to be low, 10.2, 10.3, and 10.4 might also be low. So it is best that we treat these items as 1 and we use their averages instead. So now that we have identified multi-item constructs and identified the need to treat them as 1 and that their average needs to be calculated, I'll show you how to calculate the average in SPSS. So you want to go up to transform and compute variable. As you can see, I've already done it, but you want to go in here, type market maven, and I'll redo this one. So from here, we can see that market maven was question 10, 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, and so on. And we want these to match these up here. So we're going to do Q10 underscore 1 plus Q10 underscore 2 and so on. And then obviously there are 4 different things to average out, so we need to do divided by 4. And when we click OK, nothing will change here, but there will be another category at the end, and this is where you'll find the average for this person, and so on all the way down. So I'm going to take you through how to conduct a one sample t-test on SPSS. So the hypothesis is, on average, our customer's purchase intention is relatively high. And for this example, we will be using question 6. If you could make your computer purchase decision again, how likely would you be to choose Dell? Remember to identify your data, check that it looks right, and recode it if necessary. For this example, you do need to recode because the negative responses need to be given the lower number and the positive responses need to be given the higher number. So for this, I've already recoded question 6, and we'll get into doing the one sample t-test. Also keep in mind that the hypothesis includes the words relatively high. So relatively high would be anything that's above the average. And since 3 is in the middle, relatively high will be anything above 3. So to do this, you need to go to Analyze, Compare Means and Proportions, and click on One Sample t-test. I've already put question 6 here, but once you've recoded, put question 6 on this side, set the test value to 3, and then click OK. And then we can interpret the results. So as you can see from here, the p-values are less than 0.05, which means the hypothesis is supported. So in other words, yes, customers' purchase intention is relatively high. And that is how you conduct a one sample t-test. So I'm going to discuss how to do an independent samples t-test, and this is to test differences between 2 groups in one category. So we are going to be testing the hypothesis, on average, males will have greater purchase intention compared to females. So for this, we will be using the recoded question 6 and question 14. Question 14 asks the survey respondents to identify if they are male or female. So for this, we're going to go back to SPSS, go and analyse, compare means and proportions, independent samples t-test. So we're going to select variable 6, which I've already put over here, and then also choose question 14, which I've already done, but you're going to click the blue arrow there, and you need to define groups. They're already defined, but there should be 1 and that should be 2. So click OK, and then interpret the results. So remember that sig is the same as the p-value. So is the hypothesis supported or rejected? Well, as sig, or the p-value, is greater than 0.05, the hypothesis is rejected. So what that means is that this statement is incorrect. So on average, males will have a greater purchase intention compared to females is incorrect. And that is how you conduct an independent samples t-test. So I'll be showing you how to do a paired samples t-test. This tests the difference between 2 groups in one category, uses 2 different questions to do a comparison. So we are going to be testing the hypothesis. Consumers' purchase intention will not be significantly different from their purchase intention if the price was 5% higher. So we're going to continue using the recoded question 6, but we also need to recode question 9a. And question 9a is, if the price of the Dell computer system you purchased had been 5% higher and all other personal computer prices had been the same, how likely would you have been to purchase your Dell computer system? So we do need to go and recode this, so I will do that now. So we've got question 9a here. So we're going to go transform, recode into the same variable, and then we're going to scroll down to question 9a. Move that to the right, and since I recoded question 6, I'm going to put that back. And we're going to go old and new values. So for this, you can see that there were 5 groups, and it still remembers mine from the last time, so I'm just going to click continue, and then click OK, and then question 9 is now ready to use. So to do the paired samples t-test, you're going to go back to SPSS, go to Analyse, Compare Means and Proportions, and a paired samples t-test. So we're going to select, for variable 1, question 6, which is recoded. And then we're going to choose question 9a. As variable 2. And then we're going to click OK. And now we're going to interpret the results. So for this, we've got paired sample statistics, paired sample correlations, and we want to look at paired differences. So for this, we've got one-sided P and two-sided P. So these are our p-values, and the p-value is less than 0.05. So usually that would mean that the hypothesis is supported, but this time it's not. And why is that? So if we go back to the hypothesis, consumers' purchase intention will not be significantly different from their purchase intention if the price is 5% higher. Now, while the p-value being less than 0.05 usually means that the hypothesis is, I forgot the word, but, accepted, rejected, so on. What it actually means is if the p-value is less than 0.05, that means that there is a significant difference, Whereas if the p-value is greater than 0.05, means that there is not a significant difference. So you've got to be careful about the wording of your hypothesis. Will not be significantly different. You would be expecting the p-value to be greater than 0.05, and so on. And that is how you conduct a paired samples t-test. So I'm going to do an ANOVA test again because my microphone wasn't working last week. So to do an ANOVA test, first off, I've already recoded question 6, so make sure question 6 is in the right format for you, or whatever data you're going to be using. And then you want to go to Analyze, Compare Means and Proportions, and One-Way ANOVA. From here, I've already done it. I'll put it back just so I can show you guys how to do it. We're going to use question 6, which has already been recoded. And we're going to put it in the dependent list. From here, we're going to choose question 11, what was the last grade of school you completed, and put that in factor. So this is going to tell us if the last grade of school you completed has anything to do with purchasing a Dell computer system. From here, we're going to click Options, make sure Descriptive and Means Plot are checked, click Continue, and then click OK. So the means plot means it's going to create this graph here. But from the results, remember that sig is also the p-value. We can see that the purchase intention is not significantly different across education levels, as the p-value is greater than 0.05. Hey everyone, welcome to the last installment of the SPSS software tutorials. So in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to do the multiple regression analysis. So you want question 6 to be recoded already. So you're going to head up to the top, click Analyze, go down to Regression, and then click Linear. So for the dependent variable, we're going to do question 6. And then put it into the dependent. And then for the independent one, we're going to do overall how satisfied, and so on. So that's question 4. So we're going to click that, use the blue arrow, and we're also going to do how likely would you recommend Dell to a friend or a relative. So this one as well. And then put it over to this side here. So you should have 1 in the dependent and then 2 in the independents. And then we're going to click OK. So once you've done that, you've got your output, and this is exactly what we'll be talking about during tutorials. So the things that you want to take note of is, for this one, you want to look at B, you also want to look at sig, you also want to look at sig here, and you also want to look at the R squared value. And that's how you do a multiple regression analysis. So if you've read tutorial 6, you'll see that there's an optional extra to do crosstabs and a chi-square test. This isn't necessary for assignment 2, so don't worry about it if it's something that you don't want to learn. This is here for the students that do. So we're going to go up to Analyze, go to Descriptive Statistics, and go across to crosstabs. For this question, for this analysis, should I say, we're going to use question 2.4, which is please indicate which of these you've ever done on the internet, and it's talking about downloading a picture. So we're going to put that in rows. And we also want to find out if there's a difference between male and female when it comes to this question. So we're going to put gender into columns. From here, we're going to go to statistics, and we're just going to check this box, chi-square. From here, we're going to go to cells. And you want to make sure that observed and expected are both checked. Click Continue, and then click OK. From here, you'll see the output from SPSS. And first you want to take a note of the p-value, which is down here, which is 0.017, which is less than 0.05. So we conclude that there is a significant relationship between gender and downloading graphics from the internet. However, how do we know who downloads graphics more than others? To identify this, we must construct a positive and negative table. refer to tutorial 6 for this, but what it looks like is plus, minus, minus, and plus. So how to tell if something is positive or negative is by count. If the count is higher than the expected count, it will be positive. If it's lower than the expected count, it will be negative. So from this table, it shows that males tend to download graphics while females do not.